What's up, good people? It's your boy Nate Chatman here, your professor of soft skills and your socio-emotional learning specialist. In today's lecture, I'll be giving 3 quick strategies on unlocking the genius of the black male mind. Unlocking the genius of the black male mind. Now, when we go into schools, we go into nonprofit organizations, the question is, how do we reach these boys? How do we reach these young men? Very quickly, I want to give you some very practical strategies on how we can begin to reach our young men with strategies, with tips, with things that we can begin to do. All of this is coming from my book, Unlocking the Genius of the Black Male Mind. Unlocking the Genius of the Black Male Mind. Now, first thing we want to discuss, if we're going to unlock the genius of these boys and these young men, number one, first thing we must do is begin to counteract negative stereotypes in the media. Counteract negative stereotypes in the media. Counteract negative stereotypes in media. You're probably saying, how is that so? Telling you right now, until you're able to replace all of the negative that young men see daily in the media about themselves with something positive, it's going to be very hard to unlock the genius. Why? Because we live in a society that is particularly set on showing us in a negative light every single day. Through TV, through music, through the way that media is discussed on a every night basis, your young son, your young nephew, your young cousin is always seeing himself in a negative light all of the time. Now, the first thing we have to begin to do is counteract that by placing positive role models and images into his life. Images. So first thing we're going to talk about is images. Images are very important. We have to replace all of these bad things that are being said with good things. We have to replace all the negative with positive. So how is it that we're going to do that? Bought a few resources with me today to kind of show you how we can begin to do this. Number one, there are at least 3 books that every parent needs in their home for their young son. At least 3 that you need. Number one, Know Thyself. Know Thyself by Dr. Naeem Akbar. Breaking the Chains of Psychological Slavery, once again by Naeem Akbar. And thirdly, Visions for Black Men, once again by Naeem Akbar. Visions for Black Men, this is what he says. He says, men define themselves. They think from their own perspective. They are able to access their power by defining who they are. It is their definitions that give them power. Until your young son is able to define himself and able to see himself as a positive being in society, a positive citizen of the world, he's going to operate in negative behavior. Breaking the Chains of Psychological Slavery. Naeem Akbar says the process of mental liberation is not unlike many of the requirements of physical liberation. Freedom from captivity must be taken, not passively requested. We're going to see ourselves as being positive since we don't own many of the media outlets that we see. We don't own many of our own radio stations. We don't own many of our own TV stations. I think maybe only 2 or 3 of the major TV stations, maybe TV One and a couple others in America are black owned. We have to actively take back the way that we're seen. Have to actively take back the way that we are seen. So this means reading material. Things that we listen to. Things that we read. It has to be positive. Has to make a shift. Because everything is about mindset. Everything we do is about mindset. If we're going to unlock the genius, we have to begin to work on the mind. So that's the first thing. We have to begin to counteract negative stereotypes in the media. Number two, here's what we need to do. Parents, here's what I need you to start doing. I need you to start watching media with your young son. And here's what I need you to do. I need you to become their tour guide on what's negative, what's positive, what's true, and what's false. You have to become their active educational tour guide. Meaning, while you're watching media and they're putting forth all of this propaganda that tells him that he's nothing, that tells him that he's destined to be a thug, a pimp, a baby daddy, I need you to become his active tour guide. You actively become his filter, where you're able to actively filter what he needs to allow into his space, the good things that need to go in, and the negative things that need to be pushed out. You have to begin to use affirmations. Affirmations. Affirmations are so positive and so important and so impactful because they begin to reinforce the positive instead of the negative. So every day I need you telling him you're smart, you're brilliant, black is beautiful, you can operate in black excellence. Every day tell him, son, I need you to have a good day. I need you to carry yourself with respect, and I need you to respect others because you are a positive individual. You are a brilliant individual. You are a person of success, not failure. So we need you to start becoming the educational tour guide while giving positive affirmations. Now, as I'm flipping my notes, another thing we need to do, number 3, is allow your sons to discuss racial inequality. Allow them to discuss what racial inequality is and what it looks like. I need you to be able to allow your young son, your young nephew, your young cousin to begin expressing himself. Because we live in a society that tells young black men that the only way that you're supposed to express yourself is through violence, by fighting, by grabbing a gun, by getting a knife, and harming somebody. So what we have to do is begin to allow young men to express themselves. Tell us how you feel. I'll never forget watching the interviews of several parents as they said they allowed their sons to express themselves about Trayvon Martin, about Mike Brown, and all these other figures that have been taken out by police and others that would do us harm. But they allowed their young son to express himself and get his feelings out and put his feelings out on the table so that he's not carrying so much around that's being bottled in. So allow him to express himself. Allow him to be himself. Allow him to talk to you about what racial inequality look like and how it makes him feel. Thirdly and finally, mentors. Studies have already been done to show if your young son gets a mentor, it increases his chances of graduation by so many points. It raises his level of success. And it's really not hard to understand. It's just simply having someone that holds you accountable. A lot of our young men simply need to be held accountable. There's no one in their life that holds them accountable. No one that makes them respect others, or makes them respect themselves, so that they go through life with absolutely no accountability, no responsibility. That's what a mentor. Find your young son a mentor. If he does not have a father in the home, find someone that may even be outside of the home that can begin to mentor him. And that's not taking a lot of time. That simply looks like maybe an older gentleman calling him one time a week for 15 minutes, just checking on him, seeing how he's doing, making sure he's doing his homework, making sure that he's getting his feelings out. He's not walking around with stuff bottled in that will cause him to resort to violence. So it's as simple as finding him someone that can be a guide, someone that can help to lead him in the right direction. So that's our lecture for today. 3 very quick strategies on unlocking the genius of the black male mind. Listen, we can do this. We are responsible for doing this. We are the village that we're seeking. Let's get these boys some help. Peace, love.